our town board for Pittsboro. Early voting started yesterday. Kyle actually lives down the street
Yeah.
in our Main Street district, or
Just
next to it,
outside of it.
just outside of it.
Yep.
I asked if you walked over here, but you drove over because you got other stuff you got to do.
Yep. Got to move on with a couple other errands.
So one of the interesting things that comes out on the forums was your experience with energy and buildings. Tell the folks about that, what you do and why you think that's important.
Sure. So I work for a construction company and coordinate mechanical systems, electrical systems, and fire alarm control systems, things like that. And so what we do is build really technical buildings like hospitals and university laboratories and things like that, and really try and have the focus on a lot of those, especially in our offices on energy efficiency. Many of them are net zero certified. And that just means that we produce as much energy on site through various means, typically solar, that we use on the site. So try and make them as energy efficient as possible so we can produce that energy on site.
So the energy equation's balanced?
Yes. And that's over in annualized period. So most of them are using, they are using electricity from the grid at some points and putting electricity back on the grid. But over the annual year, they are balanced in what they produce and use.
So if you had a building and you were trying to become net zero, does the technology exist now for folks that have battery storage or on-site storage, or where do we stand with that?
Yeah, it certainly does exist, and it's getting better every day. In one of our offices we just built, we did put about a 10 kilowatt battery storage system in, but that's the first time we've done that in one of our offices because of sort of the cost and benefit of those. But those are absolutely, they're a little more available for home users now in size for that, and it's a really good option, for kind of continuity and reducing your footprint.
So I know in the building we are in here, the town of Pittsboro years ago worked with the North Carolina Rural Center and obtained a grant that involved job creation, but helped actually change the energy footprint of this building. And a lot of people don't know that there's a full array of solar panels on this roof.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not sure if they're exactly net zero, but I do know that the energy footprint of this building is pretty strong. So it's right in line with what you do.
Absolutely, yeah.
So election started. I know that you were on the planning board for the town of Pittsboro, and you also worked with the Affordable Housing Advisory Board, which I believe is how you got to meet John Foley,
Yes.
who used to be its chair.
And Lonnie West.
And Lonnie West. Yeah. Lonnie's a candidate as well. So tell us how you decided, made the decision to go to the policy side and run for town commissioner.
Sure. It certainly wasn't something I thought of, ever, honestly. But I've really enjoyed, what I've dug into on the planning board. And a couple of the current commissioners kind of talked about it with the election coming up. And I went and actually talked to all the current commissioners about running and what that would look like. And initially said, no, it's crazy. I won't do it. And then here I am, so I talked a lot with my wife and, the time commitment required to do it. And I just think it's really exciting, the things that Pittsboro has coming up and just how much I like Pittsboro. So decided to throw my hat in the ring.
And you feel that your skills could actually help Pittsboro, not just now, but where it's going in the future.
I think so. Yeah, I've learned a lot about development in the last couple of years on the planning board, and just how planning works. And it was really new to me, but I really dug in and learned about it. And I think the technical experience and that really can help. And then just I've been involved with some of the art organizations in town, and a lot of that other things. And really in this process, I've really enjoyed getting out and talking to people and seeing what they think and what their concerns are.
Is that how you got to know Maggie Newfer through the arts organization? She's a supporter of yours.
Sure. Yeah, we were both volunteer docents at the Small Museum of Art. At the Small Cafe, the Small Museum of Folk Art.
If people don't know where that is, tell the audience where that is.
It's on Small Street, so East Street and Small Street. A lot of people know Small Cafe probably, and or Small B&B, and it's right on the property of that. And it's a really great collection of folk art. And we had a volunteer docent program where we learned about all the art, and then would sit in there and talk to people about it. So I was in the training for that with Maggie. Got to know her there, and then we've been friends over the years.
So I would assume that if you were elected, you would be someone who would be supportive of the Chatham County Arts Council and the arts.
Absolutely. Already am.
Oh, excellent.
Even without being elected.
Even without being elected. So let's just dig in a little bit. Who's Kyle Shipp? You came here a few years ago. You said to me earlier you lived in the ETJ. So tell us about who Kyle Shipp is.
Sure. When I came to the company I'm at currently, I had the opportunity to live near one of their offices, and I chose Raleigh. And then one of my friends was building a house in Pittsburgh. He said I should come check it out, and I did, and just loved it. I said, Pittsburgh kind of seems like a movie studio, downtown with the woodworking shop and the soda fountain and the toy store, and it's just a kind of a movie style downtown. I really liked it. So yeah, originally went out to the ETJ, had 3 or 4 acres out there, and really enjoyed living out there as well. And then I met Diana, who's my wife now, and she was living in downtown DC. And so I always tell people that we compromised from out by Silk Hope in downtown DC, and we moved downtown Pittsburgh. So I think one of us did a little more compromising than the other there, but.
I would think that a lot of people would agree with you that S&Ts and you've got the famous woodworking shop with Roy down there in our Main Street district, and a lot of other wonderful businesses that pull people in. I think we'd like to emphasize that positive and probably have less of those recent visitors that we've had downtown.
Certainly. Yep.
I mean, we all agree with the right of free of assembly and First Amendment, but I think ultimately a lot of the business owners would just hope this would go away. So why? Tell us why you're running. It's a big decision to get your name on the ballot.
Mm-hmm.
You had to talk to your wife. I mean, I had to talk to mine when I did it. So how did this happen? Why are you running?
Absolutely. We talked about it a lot, and leading up to it, and even the night before I went to file, I said, last chance here, and she said, sure, yeah, we talked about this. I said, no, let's talk through this again. Let's think about the time commitment. Let's think about what it's going to be. And really one of the things she said is, you've been spending a lot of time on the planning board, and so why not shift that time to the town board and have an impact there. So I just really see from kind of the development plans that we have and all the work that needs to be done. I think this is a really exciting time to be on the town board.
It's an exciting and important time.
Absolutely.
To actually make policy.
Mm-hmm.
So let's say we're on November 5th. It's 7:30. Polls close. Kyle Shipp's elected. What are you going to do for the people of Pittsburgh? I mean, what are the things that you want to accomplish?
Yeah, one of my main priorities that I've said is just communication with the people. I think we can do better at that, and it is not that current staff isn't doing all that they can or with the resources that they have, but I think people feel like, and when I'm out canvassing and talking to people, they don't necessarily know what's going on or what that means, or so really getting the word out there, because we have a lot of people in town that are really want to be active and interested, and I think we can do a better job of utilizing that and turning it in. There's been a lot of task forces and things like the UDO,
right,
where a lot of people have put a lot of effort into it, and we just need to get it over the hump and get it finalized. And
so
approved.
Jim Nass, who's our candidate for mayor and really is our putative mayor because he's unchallenged.
Sure.
He's made it known that he'd like to see a PIO, a public information officer, which a lot of folks out here think that would be something that would help get the information out, that the town really doesn't have someone dedicated to that.
Mm-hmm.
The county does. Would this be something that you would be interested in seeing if you're on the policy side?
Sure. Yeah. I think, and that might be, we were talking the other day, that might be a good option for a college intern or something to even just kick that off and kind of get an analysis of where we're at now. I think that'd be great. Yeah.
So what are some of the other issues that you want to dig into? Obviously, there's been a lot of discussion about our water quality and potential solutions.
Sure.
Do you have any thoughts you'd like to share?
No.
You want
I'm
to?
just kidding. No, I'm just, so infrastructure in general.
You are a good straight man,
right? Infrastructure in general is a big deal, and I see it. I've been going to the town board meetings for about 2 years now, and of course been on the planning board, and now literally every project that comes in front of the town board is evaluated based on the numbers of gallons, down to the gallon that they
Right.
need. So that is currently affecting development, and it's not just in the Chatham Park PDD; it's in all of Pittsburgh, of course. And so expanding that capacity, the availability of sewer mostly, and the availability of water treatment are certainly top priorities. And there's some plans in place, certainly, and some consultants engaged. So we need to continue on that, continue moving forward. And then, like I said, the consultant CDM Smith is doing the study right now on the water treatment options and the water supply options, and that's all something we have to look at, very closely in terms of water quality, especially as we upgrade the plant, or what the other options are. I'm like I've said, a lot of times I'm from Flint, Michigan, and so I really see the impact that those decisions can have on a community. And I think the important thing is just being upfront with the community, which I think generally the town has been, and has been working at it for a long time. And then just getting the solution out there, and keeping people informed.
So you grew up in Michigan.
Mm-hmm.
So you can show the audience the old thing we know from the Midwest, the hand.
Sure.
Show
Yep,
you where
that's,
you are.
Flint, Michigan.
Everyone,
there,
that's
so
what
make
Michigan
sure
looks
I
like. We do this
have
for the Upper
right,
Peninsula.
Yeah.
It's-
So, yep. So
That's how we do it
Easy
in the
map.
Midwest. So, yeah, you've been able to see what's happened to your hometown with the water, and that's an incredibly important issue for the citizens and stakeholders of a town.
Mhm.
Water supply, water quality, and we're getting the water from the Haw River. The chemistry varies minute to minute, depending on what's going on upstream.
Sure.
So, what are affordable housing, or I like to call it affordable living, is another concept that a lot of the folks talked about at the forums. So, what do you feel about that?
Yeah, I saw that recently, the affordable living term, and I think it's pretty interesting because, I asked to join the Affordable Housing Advisory Board, really to learn more about it, and because that's how I learned more about planning and development, was being on the planning board and having that opportunity. So, I've learned a lot before that, and since I've been on there, and one of the components that really struck me of affordable housing, what we call affordable housing cost, is actually transportation.
Yes.
And so it's particularly high in Chatham County because of the places that people drive to get to work, or to other just grocery stores, and so it's not just the housing cost that affects it or goes into the equation. It is the availability of transportation and things like that. So I think that affordable living might be a better representation of it, and I've really enjoyed participating on the Affordable Housing Advisory Board, and sort of the freedom that they have to work with multiple organizations, whether it's ones that are keeping people in their homes that they currently own or currently rent, and just need some repairs to stay in them,
Right.
or developers building new ones. So this particular iteration of the committee, as I understand, is a newer one, but we should have the first grants coming in soon, and then actually be getting money out in the community to help.
So you would be a vote for kind of getting your hands in there as a policymaker and addressing the issue,
Absolutely.
and looking at the tools that have been made available and or recommended, by the committee that Jim Nass chaired for the town. And then you have the county committee.
Sure.
That's good to know, because it's an issue that's kind of top of mind for everybody.
Mm-hmm.
There is one candidate, Pam Castroper, who lives in one of our affordable housing communities. She was on here earlier, Belmont Point.
Yep.
But we need, a larger mix, and we need more units.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Yep.
So, another question. Recently, there was a little bit of a kerfuffle about this issue of the. We're audio only? What happened to the video? Camera's dead.
Well, I guess we can keep going with.
We'll keep going with the audio, I guess. Sounds good. So is the camera burned out? Is it the battery dead?
That's the battery's dead. I don't know if he's got a charger or not.
All right, we'll ask the question then.
Still an interview?
We'll ask the question.
Yeah.
So there's
Trust
just
me, I look good.
you,
so,
you look
yeah.
great, and you're going to win best beard. I mean, I'm already jealous.
Okay.
There was a little bit of a kerfuffle about this business with the Political Action Committee, and article in this week's paper by the Chatham Record. You put out a notice about that on your Facebook page, with Chatham County Line then also put out we posted your statement verbatim.
Okay.
So what are your thoughts there? I mean, this is your first time in it,
Mm-hmm.
so tell the folks what you think.
Yep. First time. I guess not. I've been elected to an officer position, the VFW, and that's as much as I've done before in terms of that. So,
But they don't have political action committees.
no,
that do
exactly,
that. Exactly.
absolutely, completely separate.
It's
from
still
that.
political,
so,
though.
Yeah, I mean, this is kind of it's been a real distraction for me. I'd say I'm not political in general, and the reason that I consider doing this election was because it is a nonpartisan election. And that being said, I mean, I really appreciate all of the support I've been able to garner in Pittsburgh from a lot of different people and sources, and I really appreciate the people that I've got to know and their support for me. But I don't support in any way, in any circumstance, negative campaigning, and I just don't understand why you need to do that. So I want to make sure that people really understood that that doesn't represent my personal values.
So I think that one of your main quibbles with it was there was no message that said that this was not authorized by a candidate committee or campaign.
Correct. Right.
And you mentioned that you were looking at filing a complaint about that. Are you going to do that?
I'm still actually, before I came here, I was on the phone with the state office. I'm still trying to figure out how all that works and what it is. Again, just trying to navigate the system, but they are going to work with them and see if they can get that message on there maybe. So I just think it's caused a lot of confusion for a lot of people, and I do really appreciate a lot of people have called me and or emailed me and said, hey, I saw this and this doesn't seem like something you would do, but I wanted to hear about it from you. And so I really appreciate the people that have really come to the source and said what's the deal with this.
I mean,
And
so
I've been able-
clearly, our system, allows for political action committees, whether local or state or federal, and they can be formed to inform people about concepts, ideas, platforms, and or organized to push a particular candidate or candidates or a slate. And in your case, they've slated you up with two other candidates. So I think your main issue here is just that the negativity in that message is just not something that your core belief support. I mean, I don't want to quote you, but that's kind of what I'm surmising from reading what you said about it. And
Right. No, I'd agree with that. There's certainly things said there, that I don't agree with in general, and I don't think that you need to go negative in a campaign, even if those things were true. But
well, unfortunately, it's a full contact sport. Like I said, democracy demolition derby. That they're not illegal. They can create some divisiveness, especially how the language is phrased, and that's why I spoke at Monday night's meeting about certain things said about some of our current elected officials. I don't have a problem with calling people out on issues we disagree about. We're not going to agree about everything, but
Right.
I do
Right.
think it's personally wrong to imply, unless you have the proof, that somebody is corrupt on the take.
Well,
That's a whole other level.
Absolutely, and I think
It's-
if that is the case, then there's a bigger thing that should be done about that than just mentioning it casually.
Exactly.
So I believe that I could work well with any of the candidates that are up for election now, whoever ends up on the board, like you said, November 6th, and I'm looking forward to doing that, and looking forward to this election being over and
Right, I
getting
bet
out
you're
of the real work. So.
getting onto the road. So, Kyle, I really appreciate you coming by, dealing with some of our technical difficulties as we try to get this thing up and running with Taja Talk and Chatham County Line. But thank you for running and serving on these boards. I know that you would encourage others to do the same, especially serving on advisory boards.
Absolutely, yeah.
And I'll let you have the close. What do you want to say about you or your campaign to anyone out there that might listen to this and see this message?
Yeah, I'd say certainly please think about serving on all these boards. There's always a lot of openings, and think about running for town board and coming up. You could certainly be more prepared for that process than I have been if you think about it ahead of time. So, but yeah, I'm really really love Pittsboro, and that's the reason that I'm running, to try and keep all of Pittsboro thought of as a whole thing, and not that people are still coming downtown, and that the development in all of the areas around Pittsboro is sustainable and well planned, and just that we have the resources to continue.
I think
continue
you are the
doing
youngest candidate.
that. I believe that's the case. Yes,
How old are you?
I am 35.
So you and I are roughly the same age. I was an unaffiliate like you when I ran for mayor in 2005,
Okay,
and I was just 36.
gotcha. Oh,
And
we were the same age. That's
we
what you're
were.
saying. Okay, all
but
right.
here-
I misheard
no,
you
no,
there.
not now. No, my beer is great.
Okay, I'm
but
laughing over there.
but I noticed that if I was still on the board now, I would still be the youngest.
Okay.
So I've said that the board needs younger people. We've got to get folks that are millennials, and we got to get Gen Z interested. So, everyone, this is Kyle Shipp. He's asking for your vote,
Absolutely.
and
I really appreciate
he would
it.
be a young voice on the board, and he's obviously well prepared with his military service and work that he does with the engineering firm and working with rehabilitating reuse of buildings and all the energy work you do. So thank you, Kyle, for coming on,
Thank
and
you,
we wish
Randy.
you luck.
We're shaking hands in case
We're
that
shaking
video's not
hands.
working. but-
Well, in case they're not working, we can turn that into